I see. I see.
I made that mistake. What's that camera doing? Well, there's a reason.
All right, we will call the Legislative Audit Commission Evaluation Subcommittee to order. Welcome, everyone, and good morning. Today is March 14th. The time is 8:03 p.m. We are in room G3 of the State Capitol building, and we have quorum present. And our task today, members, is to review the Legislative Audit Commission policy on program evaluation topic selection, and then suggest some topics for the OLA to evaluate in 2025. We have a booklet with quite a few of those, and our goal is to narrow the list to 15, says the agenda, but we have a different idea. Senator Rest.
Mr. Chairman, when a commission meets and there are members who are remote, the roll has to be called.
All right,
So
very
whoever.
good. Who would undertake the roll call? All right, thank you. Please call the roll.
Senator Dibble.
Here.
Senator Drazkowski.
Here.
Senator Rest.
Present.
Representative Anderson.
Here.
Representative Lee. Representative Lee. Representative Quam.
Present.
Representative Lee has also been online this morning. We have a quorum. That completes the roll.
Great, thank you. Thank you for the help, Senator Rest.
Sure.
So with that, we have Judy Randall, our legislative auditor here, and Jody Munson Rodriguez, our deputy legislative auditor, who leads the program evaluation division. So I will toss it to Ms. Munson Rodriguez to start us off.
Great. Thank you, Chair Dibble. Thank you, members. For the record, my name is Jody Munson Rodriguez. I'm the Deputy Legislative Auditor for OLA's Program Evaluation Division. And I am just going to walk you through the materials for the meeting this morning very quickly. You'll see that at the front of your packet, you have a yellow sheet. This is a proposed tentative schedule for the selection process. For those of you that have been through it before, you know that typically the evaluation subcommittee meets 3 times throughout this process. There's this first meeting now to narrow that very large list that we have down to roughly 15 topics. We then take those topics back to the office. We do some preliminary research and we put together brief background papers on those topics for you all. We will then meet again in order to further narrow that list based on the information that we've gathered. Typically, we've narrowed that down to about 10. At that point, we send a survey out to all legislative members to gather some information on what they're interested in. We put all of that information together with the background information, and we get together with the subcommittee again for them to put together a final recommendation that then the Legislative Audit Commission as a full body needs to approve. So those are the upcoming meetings. We're still working on getting all of those scheduled. I also wanted to bring your attention to the blue sheet in your packet. That is the policy on program evaluation topic selection. The LAC adopted this in October of 2024. This changes a few things in the selection process, so I wanted to go over those with the subcommittee really quickly. At the bottom of the first page, you'll see number 1 just lays out the criteria that the subcommittee, or that the full commission, has decided it will use when selecting topics for evaluation. These aren't new. This is something that the office has been preparing information on for several years, but kind of solidifying it in policy here. So you'll see a few of those things that will be taken into consideration are things like state resources, state control, timeliness, balance. And these are the items on which we do some background research for these preliminary topics and provide you all with information on that at our next meeting. If you flip over the page, The other thing I want to bring your attention to is number 3. So out of the topics that are finally selected, there are some parameters. So one of those topics must be a board, committee, council, or authority as defined in statute. So kind of a smaller organization within state government. And one of them must be an OLA program or a follow-up to an OLA program evaluation that was completed at least 5 years prior. And so you'll see if you've taken a look at that long list of suggested topics that we have received, we have sectioned out on that front page for you the evaluation suggestions that fall into those 2 categories. And I want to note that you can select as many as you want in each of the categories. You're not limited to one, but there must be at least one according to the policy. I will stop there to see if there are questions on the policy. And if not, I can move through the list a little bit.
Thank you, Ms. Mustin Rodriguez. Senator Rest.
Mr. Chairman and Ms. Munson Rodriguez, when did we adopt this policy? Is it fairly recent, within maybe the last 3 or 4 years? I'm just,
Ms. Munson
is it really
Rodriguez.
old? Does it need to be updated, or is this a fairly updated set of criteria?
And Senator Rest, so you're referring to this item 1 under policy?
Yes. Mhm.
Thank you.
Ms. Munson Rodriguez.
Thank you, Chair Dibble. Senator Rest, that was adopted in October of 2024.
Okay, so it's very new. Yeah, thank you.
All right. It's our freshest and best current thinking. Great. All right. So yeah, why don't you proceed?
Great. So then I just wanted to walk through a few key things within this very long list. As you all know, we gather topic suggestions throughout here from the public, from legislative members, from state agency staff. So this really comes from a lot of different places. You'll see we have over 100 this year. As I noted, we have kind of sectioned them out for you. The first 2 in this sort of index that we have are the required ones, so where you'll need to do at least 1. And then we have them sectioned out by topic. I just wanted to bring some attention to a couple of different evaluations. As we noted at the top of this list, there are a few that we kind of highlighted in that teal color. These are a few topics where either we have heard or we have identified ourselves some concerns that we think could be important to look into. It's also places where we think that our authority and our skill set would make us uniquely able to do these types of evaluations. So I just wanted to run through a few of those. On page 1, number 1, you'll see there's charter school governance. The last time we went to that evaluation was 2008. We have heard some concerns, particularly around authorization and oversight of that authorization. So I just wanted to point that one out as potentially a promising one. If you go down into the boards, I'll note that number 26, the Board of Public Defense, we have never been there. It's a smaller organization, but with a very important purpose. We've heard some concerns there for quite some time. Moving on to the next page, if you're looking at the index, numbers 53 and 106, I'll note were on the short list last year. They ranked quite high on the criteria. And so if you want to take another look at those, I just wanted to bring those to your attention. Another one that I would note is number 67, Autism Spectrum Disorder Services. The amount of money we have seen going to these types of services has increased quite a bit. We've heard some concerns around the quality of some of the services and how well it's being ensured that that quality is at a specific standard. So I just, like I said, I wanted to go through a few of them.
All right.
With that, I will stand ready for any questions. If there's discussion, I'm happy to help the process.
Great. Thank you. Members, do we have any questions at this point? or thoughts? All right, so we'll move to the process or visitors, emissaries. Great. In the last day or so, there's been some discussion and an idea had been advanced to me that thought I would put in front of the committee or the subcommittee. And that is the potential of moving our winnowing list up to 15 that we would recommend to the full legislature. I'm sorry, what did I say? 15? 18. Right now we're at 15, which would then, excuse me, which would then allow each member to nominate any number that they want, but perhaps the suggestion would be that would allow each of the 6 members to nominate 3 topics. I do know that some members have been running around within their caucuses and their chambers to gather up ideas and get a sense of what their colleagues would like for them to promote and represent as a potential item to put on the ballot of 18 if we agree. And so I know some have collected their 3 already. And so I thought I would throw that out as a suggestion and see what the subcommittee thinks of that idea.
So,
Senator Rest.
so, Mr. Chairman, so that would, if we had 18, that would then have a more thorough review before it went on the ballot, correct? So that the criteria that are used to rate a topic would be available on 18. Is that the process that you're thinking of?
So
And 16?
I will toss it back to Ms. Munson Rodriguez to answer with more precision than I could. I believe the answer to your question is yes. I do think before the ballot would be finalized and prepared, we'd have another meeting of this subcommittee to make sure we're getting it right. Ms. Munson Rodriguez.
Thank you, Chair Dibble. Yes, Senator Rest, we would then prepare our one-page background information on each of the topics that are selected.
And then I see potentially on April 2nd, we would look at that information, see if the all 18 make some sense to suggest to the full legislature to then you give their recommendation back to, again, the subcommittee, which then, of course, we advance to the full commission. So
Yeah,
short answer is yes.
well, it's additional work for them to do that initial evaluation, at least of the topic.
Mhm.
And so I want to make sure that other things that are going on are also going to have their full attention as they're preparing to present evaluations to the full commission.
So
Reports,
Ms.
the
Yeah,
report.
Ms. Munson Rodriguez or Ms. Randall, so what do you make of the idea of adding 3 to your, in light of resource and time?
Thank you, Chair Dibble. I think that should be doable.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chair, just
Senator
some guidance from the perspective. I like it. I mean, I think what we battle here, I think we're one of this amazing institution, and we work to be in a bipartisan manner, and I've changed it to equally partisan manner.
Sure.
And I think I love that. I like the 18, and I think that's what we've ultimately ended up doing over the last, even the end selection, we ended up with, I think, we ended up with 6 in the final because then it got down to 3 and 3. Again, equally partisan of the largest priorities of the Democratic caucus, Republican caucus, and going through the machination. I would say I like the idea of 18, right? Or everybody gets 3. And if there's cross-pollination, I would just say, and it brings it back to 15 or 16, I wouldn't go through the exercise to find 18. And so everybody gets their 3. All that prioritization's been done. We had Southwest Light Rail. I mean, I think there's issues that in the past we've always overlapped. We may not be, but I wouldn't go through the exercise to find an additional up to 18. If it gets to 15, great,
Yep.
Senator Rist.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman, Senator Coran. I would agree. I don't think we should have an artificial number that we have to get to. And if they're really only 13, for example, that there's support from whatever members, I think we should be satisfied with that rather than looking for other suggestions that we don't have very much support for doing that either. So I like the notion that it's up to 18. And if we don't, if we really have a lot of us choose the same ones, that we should be happy with that.
Very good. Other members, thoughts?
Yeah, I agree with you. Yep.
All right. Thank you.
Drazkowski supports 18.
Very good. Ms. Munson Rodriguez.
Thank you, Chair Dibble. I also wanted to just bring everyone's attention to remember that we will need to ultimately do at least one of the evaluations within each of those top 2 sections. And so I just wanted to put that out there in case it gets a little complicated if people aren't suggesting any of the topics within those sections. We could not do additional ones on top of the 18 in order to get to those. So
Very
We
good.
understand
All
that.
right.
Bring
We'll
that
keep
up.
our
Thank
fingers
you.
crossed that we get one out of the first 2 buckets.
The 2 required ones
Yeah.
are,
All
but
right.
but Mr. Chairman,
Senator Rist.
but that doesn't mean that each one of us in choosing or recommending 3, for example, needs 2 of those recommendations to be in the required categories.
I'm sorry. Can you say that again?
We have 2 of what they actually do
Mhm.
are 1 each from the required categories.
Mhm.
But that doesn't mean that when we're making suggestions that we have to choose,
Oh, as
that
individuals.
2 of our 3 ones have to be in the categories of those that are required. That's all.
Correct. Correct. So
And we may end up nobody choosing one of those.
Right.
And then our process here just gets a little bit more complicated in making sure that at the end, we have 1 each
Yes.
from the required categories.
All right. So fingers crossed, someone's
Yeah,
got
right, exactly.
at least 1 from each of the buckets. And then they're guaranteed that one gets considered if it only ends up with 1. All right. So with that, why don't we just throw it open and I'll just call on people individually to nominate their 3. So we'll start with Senator Drazkowski.
I'm happy to go first.
I'm
if you
here,
want.
I'm here, Mr. Chair.
All right.
I
All
had
right.
to, sorry, I was multitasking. I have 68, 78, and 85. 68 is CCAP, 78 is the DHS oversight of Minnesota Care, and 85 is the MA fraud prevention.
Great. Okay. So 68, 78, 85 from Senator Drazkowski. I'll go to Senator Rest.
Mr. Chairman, I'm not prepared to give you my suggestions right.
All right. We'll jump to Representative Anderson.
I'm gonna do, just wrote them down.
Hmm.
Hang on.
You might have Senator Quam.
11.
All right.
No, I'll do it. 11. These are mine. Quam is on, so, or I think he's on. If he's not, I'll do it at the end. 11, I'll take the autism, 67. It sounds like we need that done. And then 42, which is unemployment insurance. So 11, 42, and 67.
11 is non-emergency medical transportation.
Yeah, that's an issue we're hearing
All
about,
right.
as you know, so,
All right. And that has the benefit of being a follow-up.
yep.
Wonderful. All right. I think Representative Lee is trying to be on. He's running his son to school.
I'm on, Senator Champion.
Oh,
Or, no, I'm sorry, Senator Dibble.
I'm president for a day. All right, go ahead, Representative Lee.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So the first one will be number 31, the Office of Ombudsperson for Families. The next one will be number 53, the one of the highly ranked one, the Minnesota Agricultural Water Quality from last year. And then the, let's see here, I don't remember the number for this one, but it will be the Financial Transparency and Nursing Facilities. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
I think that might be number 82. Is that correct, Ms. Munson Rodriguez? The final one, the financial transparency and nursing facilities? All right. Representative Quam. All right, he might be tending to his appointment. So I will, let's see, who are we? We've done Drazkowski, Anderson, Lee. I'll go. I would like to nominate number 16, Board of Animal Health. I would like to nominate number 64, Nursing Home and Assisted Living Facilities Licensing. And number 96, the Taxpayers Transportation Accountability Act.
Senator Dibble, I can take Quam if he doesn't get on.
Go ahead,
He gave
Senator
me,
or Representative Anderson.
thanks. I know he wanted 58, 40, and then 36, which is a kind of a /110. I think they're similar. It's a voting.
Thank you.
They overlap each other.
Mr. Chair,
Auditor Randall.
thank you, Mr. Chair, members, Judy Randall, Legislative Auditor. Can you repeat those numbers? That
Yep.
So well, go ahead.
58, 40. And then the other one was, the last one was 36 or 110. He thought they were similar. They were both voting. So that would be a question, I guess, for you to talk to him about.
Let's take a look here. So
Very
110 is voter registration system and 36 is automatic voter registration. So Ms. Munson Rodriguez, if you can help us
Thank you,
reconcile.
Dr. Dibble. We would not be able to combine those two. One of them focuses on DPS's automatic voter registration that happens along with like driver's license, getting your driver's license. The other one focuses on the Secretary of State's function. So they wouldn't be able to be combined.
All right. Representative Anderson, do you have a sense of which one has a little more weight in his mind?
Not really. He thought they were similar, so
I think Senator Karan has a thought.
Mr. Chair, I'm almost positive on that request, 110 came from me. And that I swear I had also the state or the automatic voter registration in that request as well. And so was it separated then because of functionality? They're both so interrelated that I don't know how you separate them. With all of the changes that were made, one basically says, all right, our eligible people on the database. The other part is how they got there. And so to look at one aspect of how they got there from the traditional means, which is what I think why it's broken out, versus now we have the automatic voter registration coming from DVS, which we've already had, right, some initial reviewer concerns. At the end of the day, all we want to know is it working? And there's no other way to validate it besides you are the only entity that could possibly do that to ensure all voters that are eligible are there, and all the vehicles that are feeding it are doing so accurately. I don't know how I'm concerned about that how one looking at the eligibility or just the list itself and exclude a fairly significant channel, which is feeding into that without any I can't say oversight, but no public or transparent ability to validate that. So,
Mr. Chair, I could offer something too.
Senator Drazkowski.
Thank you. Just knowing Senator Quam, or Representative Quam, I did talk to him last night, and I know he's very passionate about the voter items. So I would think, just looking at his list, that he might prefer to have the 2 voting items and maybe strike the renewable energy one, development fund. That's just my sense. I'll try to get in touch with him.
Well, I need the list, so I'm gonna rely on you, Senator Drazkowski, and let's just do that. I know what he cares about is the voting stuff, so let's go with 58, 36, and 110. And skip 40.
All right, we'll do that. Thank you.
Okay.
Senator Rest.
Thank you. I have a question about some of the ones, when I was reading through your brief descriptions, seem to me to maybe lend themselves more to a special review than a program evaluation. And so some of them I'm drawn to that I think that about, so I'm reluctant to propose them for a program evaluation. If that makes any sense to you. Other than that, then my choices would be 4, 26, and 41. The one in particular that seems to me to be maybe more or better is for a special review, perhaps because of the attention given to possible misconduct in the programs is 67.
All right, so we have 4, 26, and 41 suggested, and an inquiry if item 67
Yeah, the autism one,
could lend itself to
maybe a special review.
Special review.
I don't know. It would be, Mr. Chairman, it would be when they scope it, where the emphases might be. And that would make a difference, I think, to some members.
okay. We'll get a
Where
response.
it was where the emphasis was going to be.
Auditor Randall.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and Senator Russ. Thank you for that question. As currently presented, number 67, the Autism Spectrum Disorder Services is really framed right now as a program evaluation. It's much broader. It's looking overall at the services provided. It's looking overall at, program effectiveness, best practices, things like that. Whereas a special review is really focused on a specific allegation or concern and much narrower and deeper. So I would say that it's really right now framed as a program evaluation.
And Mr.
Senator.
Chairman, I bring that consideration up because I believe that even if it was done on the at the high level of the program evaluation, that many questions that would come from members of the Legislative Audit Commission would indeed look to misconduct, and a program evaluation wouldn't be covering that. So just a little bit that the description of what would happen would have to be clearly intentional of what it includes and what it doesn't include before it would go on the ballot, because it seems to me it's a topic that could clearly be misunderstood.
I agree.
Hmm.
Because the issue of misconduct has gotten a lot of scrutiny and media attention. And
Mhm.
people are alert to that. Yes. Ms. Munson Rodriguez.
Thank you, Chair Dibble, and thank you, Senator Rust. If that is a concern, we could change the title, potentially put something about quality. I'm just thinking on the fly, but we can definitely think about how to make it more specific within the title.
All right.
No, just an alert. That's
All right. Maybe we can have more future discussion about that topic and scaling it back to some of the narrow allegations that are floating out there about
Sure.
this particular area. Great. All right. So we have our list of 18. I probably don't need to recite them, but do we need to make this a motion? All right. Senator Rest.
I move that.
Mr. Chair.
Oh, Senator is this Senator Drazkowski that I hear?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Representative Quam texted me that he was done with his commitment and he's back in or available.
Oh, great.
Can you find him? If so, we could validate his choices.
All right. Representative Quam, can you hear us? Are you with us?
Yes, can you hear me? I just,
Okay.
was
So
going-
to bring
what
you
did
up
have
to,
down?
all right, we hear you, Senator Quam, Representative Quam. So to bring you up to speed, the following topics were nominated on your behalf, but then we had some discussion and some shuffling. So we'll throw it back to you. Nominated were item 58 has to do with something to do with enterprise, something or another. Number 40, Renewable Energy Development Fund. And then the two items having to do with voting, numbers 36 and 110. And I think it had been hoped that we could collapse 36 and 110 into one. That's not possible. And so then it was suggested that we would strike number 40 from your list and go with numbers 58, 36, and 110, the two voting items and the enterprise one. What is your desire?
I think that's probably reasonable because, well, the 110 was 2018 and there was, I think, a second sampling type thing done because there was a lack of some information shared during the initial. So it's timely for being over 5 years. And the 36 because of the new activity and then questions popped up about it. So I think those two are probably very important. And the 58, there have been discussions with the auditor from multiple parties, including at least one chair on that topic. So I'm satisfied with the wonderful and thoughtful work that the committee's done in my absence.
Great. Thank you. I appreciate that. Okay, so we have a proposed list of program evaluations in front of us.
Read the
Senator Rest.
number. Could you read the
Yes.
numbers again?
I
sir?
will read them.
In numerical order would be helpful if you can do that.
All right, I will try to do that. All right, so starting off, number 11, I think
Well, I had number 4.
Chair.
oh yeah, I'm sorry, right. Okay, so Senator Rest had number 4, which is fiscal notes. Then I see number 11, non-emergency medical transportation, Senator Anderson. Ms. Munson Rodriguez, I'm going to ask you to help me.
Yeah, I'd be happy to, Chair
Okay.
Dibble, thank you. I'd be happy to.
Yeah, why don't you just go ahead and. do
Okay.
it. All right, thanks.
Number 4, fiscal notes. Number 11, non-emergency medical transportation. Number 16, Board of Animal Health Oversight of Companion Animals. Number 26, Minnesota Board of Public Defense. Number 31, Minnesota Office of Ombudsperson for Families. Number 36, automatic voter registration. Number 41, state oversight of long-term care insurance. Number 42, unemployment insurance. Number 53, Minnesota Agricultural Water Quality Certification Program. Number 58, Enterprise Talent Development. Number 64, Nursing Home and Assisted Living Facilities Licensing. Number 67, Autism Spectrum Disorder Services. 68, Child Care Assistance Program. 78, DHS Oversight of Minnesota Care. 82, Financial Transparency in Nursing Facilities. 85, Medical Assistance Fraud Prevention. 96, Taxpayers Transportation Accountability Act. And 110, Voter Registration System.
I'm missing. One more time. I'm not
Yeah, and
going
I
as
think
fast as she is.
the autism spectrum disorder, I think that might have been dropped. Oh,
Chair Dibble,
oh, oh.
Representative Anderson did request that one.
Oh, I'm sorry. I missed that. Okay, thank you. All right.
Just one more.
Okay,
quick
can we
time.
go through one more time?
Absolutely. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Number 4, fiscal notes. 11, non-emergency medical transportation. 16, Board of Animal Health Oversight of Companion Animals. 26, Minnesota Board of Public Defense. 31, Minnesota Office of Ombudsperson for Families. 36, automatic voter registration. 41, state oversight of long-term care insurance. 42, unemployment insurance. 53, Minnesota Agricultural Water Quality Certification Program. 58, Enterprise Talent Development. 64, Nursing Home and Assisted Living Facilities Licensing. 67, Autism Spectrum Disorder Services. 68, Child Care Assistance Program. 78, DHS Oversight of Minnesota Care. 82, Financial Transparency in Nursing Facilities. 85, Medical Assistance Fraud Prevention. 96, Taxpayers Transportation Accountability Act. And 110, Voter Registration System.
All right. Is everyone clear? All right. So does this need to now be made in the form of a motion? All right.
That's my motion.
Senator Rest moves that list. All in
Second.
favor?
Oh.
Senator Anderson seconds. All in favor, say aye.
I,
Aye. Opposed, say no. Motion carries. Do we need to roll call it? All right, sorry, we need to roll call that. The clerk will please take the roll.
As to the motion at hand, Senator Dibble,
Yes.
Senator Drazkowski,
Aye.
Senator Rest,
Yes.
Representative Anderson,
yes.
Representative Lee,
Yes.
and Representative Quam.
Yes.
The vote was unanimous. That completes the roll.
And I'll just note for the record, thank you very much. The motion passes. And I'll just note for the record, we did achieve the requirement to have at least one from the first 2 buckets. So good job, team. That concludes our business on the agenda, but I didn't forewarn you, Ms. Munson Rodriguez. Could you just give us a quick little preview of the conversation that we're going to have in front of the full commission about possibly having a kind of a staggered process and stretch out the project selection throughout the year that might give us the ability to do more work. Thank you, Ms. Munson Rodriguez.
Absolutely. Thank you, Chair Dibble. So those of you, I guess you've all been on the Audit Commission for quite some time. You know that typically we have selected 5 to 6 program evaluations to complete each spring. Typically, those evaluations have been about the same scope. And so they've worked on kind of the same schedule where we start them in late spring, we finish them in kind of late winter, early spring. So I had some suggestions for, or the office had some suggestions for maybe getting off of that cycle a little bit and better, in order to better use our resources. So that we're not kind of on this same cycle. Also, so that the information isn't always coming out in the middle of the legislative session, when oftentimes people are quite busy and might not have the time to digest it and potentially use it for future bills and that type of thing. So there's two suggestions that I would like to offer for the Legislative Audit Commission to consider in making changes going forward. We'll be talking about these, I believe, on Wednesday at the full Audit Commission meeting. But one of those suggestions would be to pick a larger slate of topics once per year, knowing that we will be trying to scope some of those in a narrower way so that they might get done more quickly, and then immediately going on to get started on the other ones once we have staff that become available. The second one would be to select topics twice per year. So we'd select maybe 4 in the spring and then go on to select another set number in the fall, so that they're not all being selected at once.
Thank you. I just wanted, we are the Evaluation Subcommittee, so I just wanted everyone to start thinking about those ideas so that you can be prepared for some response and reaction and conversation at the full commission meeting. Thank you so much. Anything else, members? Senator Rest.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think these suggestions that we've made today, being available to the full commission on our meeting, can inform our opinions about which of those alternatives we might be more interested in. I'm just
Great.
thinking this is a good first step, rather than doing it in the reverse, that we would have that discussion and then get these suggestions. So I
Right.
think it was good to have this meeting.
That's a good observation. I agree,
initially,
because
yeah.
this is a lot of work potentially. So it would inform kind of how we would manage and marshal the resources of the office. So thank you for that. All right, anything further, members? All right, with that, we are adjourned. Thank you very much for your great work.
Thank you.